Like, am I okay? Good morning and welcome back to this week's video. Today we are going to be talking about Warped Tour and kind of how I'm unhappy with it. So, if you did not see, on Friday, they released the Warped lineup for the 25th anniversary shows that they are playing. If you don't know what Warped Tour is, for the past 24 years, it's been a festival that has toured across the country, stopping all over the US all summer, and it's like a one-day festival that plays all sorts of like pop punk and hardcore and metal and alternative music. Sometimes they even have like rappers on the tour as well, and it's really just an outlet for all things that aren't pop music. The tour has been successful enough to go on for 24 years, and last year they announced that it would be ending and that last year would be their final full country run of the tour. For so many years it has brought together music and skate and surf culture and all different types of nonprofits. It's given kids an outlet and a place to go and enjoy all their different types of music when there really isn't a place like that. A lot of times these summer concerts are always like top 40 radio summer jam or different things like that. So it's really been an amazing thing for the community, and it is very sad to see it end. And this year, since it is the 25th anniversary, they decided to do a couple of special shows, 3 across the country, one in Mountain View, California, one in Cleveland, Ohio, and then another one in Atlantic City. So they will be playing those, and honestly, I'm pretty sad about the lineup. So there are kind of 2 different things that I'm upset about. One is the lack of current, like, alternative and pop punk music, and the second is the lack of female representation in these lineups. They do say TBA, so maybe there will be more announced, but as of right now, we'll start with like the lack of female representation. Mountain View has 11 female fronted bands or female artists who are playing out of the 59 artists that are going to be there, which it's just such an uneven scale of how many people are playing, and there are definitely more female artists that can be added to these shows. Cleveland doesn't have anyone. Cleveland is also a smaller date. AC and Mountain View are both 2-day festivals, so it's Saturday and Sunday. Cleveland only has about 6 people playing, and they're doing an exhibit at the Rock Hall of Fame. Even with that, there's not a single female that will be playing on that stage, which is absolutely insane, and definitely something needs to be changed about that. And then for Atlantic City, there are 7 of the 51 bands that have females in them or are female fronted, which is just totally off balance. There definitely needs to be more female representation, and Warped and people who are fans of Warped always push for it, but even when releasing their fake lineups, there were hardly any women in them. There were so many fake lineups that were circulating like around Twitter and Instagram, and hardly any of them had female fronted artists in even the fake lineups. So it is no surprise that when the real lineup came out, there weren't really any females either. That's definitely something that needs to change because it's just not right. It's just not fair. And then other than that, don't get me wrong, I love Warped Tour. I understand that the old bands are the ones who made it what it is today, but a huge part of what has kept it going for so long is pulling these small bands from state champs to Neck Deep, Real Friends, all these little bands, Paramore, like when they were so small, and that's how they blew up, is by being on Warped Tour. There's hardly any new bands playing. The most current new band for Atlantic City, I'm pretty sure, is We the Kings, which they really haven't come out with any like top big songs in a really long time. No one is really seeking out We the Kings, which, don't get me wrong, I love them, but I also grew up when Chuck Yes Juliet came out. So they've kind of reached their peak and are on their way down. So it's very sad to see that there aren't any new young bands playing, or if there are very few. That's always been a huge part of Warped, is the supporting the local scene. There was always a local stage where small local bands would get to play their date of Warped Tour. They would have contests and they would get to play these big shows, and that's how people would find out about all of these different bands. And for them to take that away, I think that that's such an important part of who they are. So I am very sad to see that. I was reading an article, which I will link down below. I believe it was from RockSound. There was an interview with Kevin Lyman, and he was saying that maybe they'll be able to like pull things together. As of right now, there are about 5 stages at each of the California and New Jersey date. So maybe they'll be able to do something with local bands, but they are trying to pull this all together just for how they have it planned right now. It's still in progress, and there is a lot that goes into planning a 2-day festival. So for him to be doing 2-day festivals is a lot, but I would be very happy if they could have, if they could support their smaller local bands. Other than that though, Warped Tour has always been great. It's one of my favorite things of the summer. There are always so many different nonprofits which are said to be coming back this year. So in the past few years, Warped has kind of gotten away from the skate and surf culture aspect of the tour, which is really one of the big things that drew people to it when it first started. So they are claiming that they will be bringing back a lot of that, the ramps, the extreme sports, all different things. So that will be exciting to see. As someone who's been going to Warped Tour for the past few years, I never got to really experience any of that kind of stuff. So to be on the beach in Atlantic City, and there will be all different new aspects of Warped to me, that will be very interesting. I also do believe that this year the crowd will be a lot older, since a lot of the bands that are playing are a lot older, which will also be interesting because since I've grown up, I started going when I was 16, and now I'll be 23 by the time this Warped Tour happens. So it will be very interesting to see the different demographic of people who show up, especially since all of the bands are older and there's really not a lot of young people, and because it's in Atlantic City, which is one of the big party spots in New Jersey. So I'm very excited. Obviously there are things that could always be improved and worked on, but other than that, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give my video a big thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, video suggestions, leave them all down below. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next week.